Hey, hi everyone. I hope you're all having a great time here. Uh, how many of you are technical who have worked on model context protocol hands-on? Couple of people. So I think the talk I'm going to give might resonate with you, the limitations and the challenges that you generally face. Hey, hi. My job at Standard Chartered is to head the open banking platforms, right from storefront, and I help with all the API gateways. I've also helped bank in streamlining the API governance processes. With that introduction, I'll start. Yes. So before we get into this, there is a, I wanted to share a funny incident. Before I wanted to create this slide, I thought I would use an intelligent agent to help me with the slides. But when I started running my code, it said your API limit for the day is exhausted. Sorry. And that's when I realized APIs are still a long way to be, ready for the agentic use. We'll see, like why I feel that way. I started at Standard Chartered around 2019. I focused on the open banking portal. Uh, until then, all the APIs were scattered. We had hundreds and thousands of APIs. Most of them are internal, some of them are public, right? The open banking mandate made us streamline the entire API experience. We made a single entry door where all our API developers and ecosystem players could come in and we could give a streamlined experience. And we were very successful. And we introduced several APIs in more than 50 markets across the globe. Then came the ability to use these APIs faster because we saw that APIs had its nuances, developers had to understand. So we introduced sandboxes and we scaled level 1, level 2 sandboxes and we made APIs really simple. Until now, we are seeing some cracks. There are different trends that are coming in. The market forces are forcing us to rethink. Earlier, we thought developers and humans are the only one would come to our portal, but now we see LLMs and agents and more intelligent consumers coming in, and we are not really ready. What do we do to make ourselves ready? Now, if you see, one is the agentic or the AI trend that we see, and second, in bank, we go through a lot of regulatory process. When we change APIs, our API clients, consumers also need to change the code. It takes time. Now, with these intelligent agents, they're able to make runtime decisions. And our API endpoints also need to be intelligent enough to handle them. So that's the big crack we are seeing. Now, so far you would have seen people are talking about RAG, MCP, right? Somehow the world thinks that you can come up with an automated process where you convert this APIs into an MCP manifest so that you give the right context, so that LLMs come and start consuming these tools, right? Uh, but there are again inherent issues. Model context protocol basically bridges the gap. The an ability to LLM to connect with your API tools. But beyond that, the APIs that you have is still old. Mehdi just talked about a great, API, the 10 mandates, right? That's where you will see. Like MCP handles the discovery part, but APIs must handle the conversation. You would have seen, you would have interacted with LLMs. LLMs are not deterministic, okay? They're mostly probabilistic. They keep changing, they adapt. But our APIs are generally, the behavior is deterministic, right? If you look at this, a very important slide. All of us have to understand is that LLM is non-deterministic and our API endpoints are deterministic. So now API expects a certain format. When that format is not honored, it gives a blunt error saying, okay, not permitted or not allowed, right? Now imagine APIs are behind API gateway, right? That's why it resonated when Mehdi said API gateways have to become AI gateway. So these are all the interoperability between API, API gateway, and the incoming agent have to be correlated together to make sense of what is happening. So if an API just blindly gives an error, an agent might not be able to consume it right. So it may need certain guidance, right? I'll give certain examples going forward. So I'll give an example. In our banking world, payment APIs are like number one API that we use. We do in-country payment, cross-border payment services. These are all per country. There are different regulatory, limitations, policies. Now, an agent, when it comes and looks at this payment APIs, it might not understand the entire nuances about it. Model context protocols manifest might fall to a certain extent, but if it just says that, okay, when I try to, let's say, move a certain amount of money, it says exceeded. The agent may not exactly understand what needs to be done. It may need, instead of giving an error, you may have to give a fallback answer saying, maybe 750 allowed today, tomorrow you'll have to do the next remaining set of transactions, right? So if you really see the current API will not really scale up when these intelligent agents come in. We'll have to rethink. The need of the hour, a set of the API set contracts may need to evolve so that APIs engage in a conversation rather than a fixed conversation, right? I mean, a blunt error and success messages. We may have to replace rejections with guided advices. You would have seen, like when you prompt, you may not get the right prompt at the first instance. When LLM gets into a conversation, it starts understanding what exactly you're trying to do, and then it gives better suggestions. So APIs also will have to evolve to do that. And the guardrails, the policies are extremely important. When APIs become more conversational, it has to remain within the context, not go beyond what it is supposed to do. So these changes will happen. The standards are going to change. Unfortunately, I'm not the one who makes the standard, but definitely in the coming years, I feel that it has to change. So what to take away? So evolving these platforms have to be intent first. Right at API gateway, right at APIs, and how we expose these intents to the outer world. So clearly, there are two parts of consumers. One, the usual developers and humans, and the other is the intelligent models, agents coming in. So they don't look at our portals like we do. We'll have to come up with a more intent catalog so that they're able to read and understand. They don't really click through our portals, right? So that needs to change. So portal is here to say, I'm not saying portal will go away, but we will have to have a parallel entry point for the agents. Second, we need to expose these intents through the new portals and allow APIs to be conversational. So when these things happen, our banking portals and platforms will evolve better. So my talk is short. I'm only leaving you with a question. Are your APIs ready to have conversation? Any questions? I'm open for that. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Any particular characteristics of an API that makes it a lot more conversation in your mind?
Most of the APIs, use cases of APIs, in my opinion, are conversational. Otherwise, you may not get the real intent of that API, right? So, in my opinion, all APIs are conversational, and there is immediate thing that we can do is in the responses, at least we can give the context and the intent as responses. So the agents can look at them and see what needs to be done with this.
That would make any anti-patterns in an API that would make it non-conversational.
Correct. So the example that I gave, the move money API, right? If you just say that when I try to do a certain action, I just say that error happened, or without giving any context, that itself is an anti-pattern. The agent will get stuck. So if you look at the last Mehdi's one slide, LLM comes to API, API goes to LLM, LLM goes to, there is an interconnected chain. If any of these breaks with the the context not being aware, the entire chain will break. It itself is a great anti-pattern is what I feel.
Thanks for that. Any questions?
Nice. So this is something new. Obviously, I'm kind of trying to still digest. Looks that this is a kind of a new concept which is coming. Like, for example, you have a prompt engineering, right? Do you think that API engineering is also a new segue which is going to happen? Because it's not, because most of the APIs that I see is, as you said, static. It's not dynamic. Is this a new thing, and do we need to be, so very similar to the question, what are the best practices? How do we ensure that our APIs are conversing, they just don't respond, they adapt, and so on and so forth? Any examples, if you could share, that would be great. Otherwise, we could.
This is emerging. No standards have been built around this yet. But some of the thoughts that I shared today is because of my experimentation and the challenges I'm facing. Like we made an MCP based an autonomous payment initiator, and the amount of issues that we got in because of the context issues, API not being able to guide the agent, we got into a lot of issues. So this is definitely emerging. It will take some time. People are still around exposing these intents to model context protocol, or there are other standards as well. But the first thing that what we'll have to do is like share more details about the API's positives and negatives, what it is supposed to do. Agents may not know why you have designed that the APIs in the first place. A simple example I'll give. Let's say you are using an API that is exposed, like say Gamma. It gives you a PPT generation in an autonomous mode, right? Based on your pricing tier, it may have different SLAs. But do you pass that information through that API? No. You need to be aware of what is your tier, and based on that, you need to use those APIs. Very few players like Stripe and now started giving more context. So this is an early trend. Everybody will have to do that. Otherwise, an unknown agent coming in may not use the API the way you intended them to use. So definitely is emerging.
I think just last point is, I think it is also about, because today most of the reasoning is obviously passed on to the LLMs, right? So
yes.
If the APIs can take up some of the reasoning, you obviously lessen the load for the LLM and the agents also, which I believe is what you're visualizing, but
yes,
I have to explore this a little bit
more.
Yeah.
Definitely. This is food for thought. And you would have seen this on a daily basis in their interaction with LLMs, right? When you give a prompt, if you give a basic prompt, the LLM will give you the least denominator solution. It is not that it doesn't know. You can ask LLM to give a better prompt, it will give you. But the same prompt, if you don't write it properly, it will give you the basic solution. Then people will complain saying, oh, the AI written code is not secured enough. Oh, AI written code is not up to the mark. That is because we have not given the acceptance criteria and all other details thoroughly. So similarly, when it starts using APIs, the same thing will happen. It might do mistake not because it doesn't know, because you have not given the intent right. So definitely there's a profound paradigm shift that is going to happen, in my opinion, in the next year or so. So we need to be better prepared. So from our side, this is what we are anticipating that will happen.
Any other questions?
First of all, thank you. It's very insightful. So my question is around the standards that you are touching upon, like it has to evolve. So is it already ongoing? Maybe for the open API community, are they working on enriching the specs to handle these kind of things?
Yeah, so as I said, it's emerging. So unfortunately, I don't set these standards.
Yeah, true.
But I'm sure open API specs, the next version 4 and so on, right? They will give certain guidance. So we'll have to watch out and follow through it.
Okay. And another question around, in one of the slides you mentioned NCP handles the discovery. So you mean to say discovery of the existing APIs?
Yes.
Okay. So because I see that inventory, maintaining an inventory of APIs itself is a challenge across the industry. So how do you say that MCP can handle it? Can you elaborate a bit?
Yeah. So see, the LLM or a model cannot just look at your API spec and be able to call them. It needs certain guidance that is given by the MCP protocol.
Okay. So you mean to say
it lets the availability of the tools very clear. How the tool is called, used is up to the intelligence of the agent or an LLM. So now if, let's say, I've given in order to complete a payment process, I have like series of 4 APIs, let's assume. It is considered as tools in the MCP world, right? Tool 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I suggest tool 1 is the first one, then second, third, fourth, depending on certain context, you can use them. How it uses is up to the MCP client's domain. We don't really specify that. We suggest. If it is successful, great. If it is not, then we'll have to figure out.
Okay.
So MCP allows you to expose your tools, not just APIs. It could be a set of documents as well.
Yeah.
So it's a way to expose your infrastructure to the other party.
Okay.
Not just a developer.
Just to validate my understanding, so are you trying to say that the API producers can also come up with an MCP server where, along with the API documentation, right?
Yes.
If they build something of that sort? Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Thank you so much.
This is an interchain. We always think that there is an agent here, then there is API. API might talk to an agent in the backend.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. We have one more here.
Thank you. Initially, you said you were working in open banking. I was working in open banking as well for one of the UK banking. So all these APIs have been regulated by the Open Banking Central Committee.
Yes.
So what are these APIs contains very sensitive data of the customers, accounts information, payments information, like you said. So they have been opened only for licensed third-party developers, right? So what is the use case you see now that these APIs have been asked to expose to the agents, or if third parties are using the agents to consume these APIs? What is the use case? Because security is very important in this open banking APIs. So they have defined this financial API security, OpenID Connect security frameworks. So in order to expose them and make them conversational APIs, in order to convert them, it has to come from the regulatory committee rather than we are.
Absolutely. You are bang on. Without regulatory approval, we cannot do anything in banking. It is happening. These are all going on in parallel. Okay. So what we are trying to do is we are doing controlled pilots with specific clients. It is not exposed outside. We are exploring. So definitely, the regulator will take more time to ascertain that what are the risks. Then the decision will be taken. Right now, I don't think the agent in the public domain is consuming any of the banking APIs. I don't think so.
Absolutely, because we might have to rewrite this entire FAPI profiles and OpenID profiles. They are not ready to document all the security related to the agents. They're ready only for the API related human consumption related security they have defined.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So all our pilots have been really controlled and within our control right now.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question.
So it's not a question, but a personal experience. What has been happening for the last 20 or 25 years is that every new generation that comes and we try to implement all the APIs. One thing we forget is that explainability in the API. So, like he said, right? So the APIs are maybe the first time who uses the API. It's a humans always. Are the APIs explainable? Once we complete an API transaction, what should I do next in the journey? That is missing. Descriptions are missing. Wrong error codes. So if we can actually make our APIs explainable for a human, obviously it will be explainable for MCPs. So at least that was my personal, explainable and navigable APIs. Right? In a checkout process or in a booking process, I completed my, registration. Okay, I should not go and look at the documentation what I should do next. The response of my API should contain, oh, these are the possibilities that you could do next, right? And the possibilities of the payloads are these. Once I complete the next step, it should give me the next step again. Next, like step plus one, right? Step plus two, the subsequent steps. So, and even if the error, let's say, yeah, you are in invalid format. Okay, please tell me what is a valid format? The possible reasons of the invalid, right? You are, this range is this range. Oh, email is not valid. Okay. So email contains something. Okay, this is my rules or this is my password. Yes, because if there is a human who is actually entering the form and doing this, great. But we are in the era where, slightly transitioning from humans to agents. And obviously for the fact that I have seen a lot of APIs which doesn't answer the explainability, at least that is the first thing we have to crack, is my opinion. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And
It's really
thanks.
great. I mean, you have complimented the details. Most of the time, as product managers, right, if you're not able to explain our products, then the users may not know how to use your product. Most of the time, I've seen the errors are like so rigid and blunt, then you have to figure out what should I do. Now, at least we can ask questions, but agents and LLMs may not have that type of sophistication yet. So, yeah, thanks for sharing.
So thanks again, Vikas, for
Thank you.
an insightful session and also having the time for answering questions and making this a very interactive interaction.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you all.